All right, everybody, this October session of Lunch and Learn is being recorded, so if you do not consent to recording, then it's time to leave, but we hope you stay. We are happy to have Brandy Powell from Prepared here to talk with us about assistive AI in 911. And I appreciate Brandy being here. Prepared is actually doing their in-service get-together training with all their people, and I believe she's coming to us from the airport. So thank you very much for being here, Brandy, and the floor is all yours.
Awesome. Well, good afternoon, everyone. I don't know if it's morning where you are, but it's a blessing. It's a pleasure to be here today to present to you all. Again, I'm Brandy Powell. I am the 911 chaplain, so that's kind of my moniker. That's something that I have been advocating for is chaplaincy in 911, and we are currently, me and my personal team, developing a accredited 911 chaplain program. For Prepared, I'm the PSAP ambassador, and I visit 911 centers and just, you know, build relationship with 911. So my history, I was a dispatcher for 15 years and I've been in ministry for 12 years. So I've kind of combined the two things that I have the biggest calling to do. And that's kind of how I got here today. Prepared is an amazing company that really, really cares about dispatchers. I don't think they would hire me if they didn't, because dispatch is my passion. And that's kind of I think it invades my thoughts 24/7, but that's a personal problem. In any case, I wanted to go ahead and start presenting this. I am at the airport, and I don't want to rush anyone. I definitely want to have time for questions or, concerns. And then if there isn't enough time, my email is available as well, so I can get even go to the source and get really educated, responses for your questions if possible. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and get started. So I can find my PowerPoint. Awesome. Okay, can you guys see this?
Yeah, we can.
Okay, awesome. Okay, so I entitled this because dispatch tends to be one of those places where we think in worst case scenarios. So I entitled this worst case scenario, enhancing 911 call handling through assistive AI. One thing I've noticed about 911 is that a lot of times, if it's not broke, we don't want to fix it. And a lot of times things don't change until something awful happens. And I believe that implementing AI in our centers is going to be the thing that stops that balance or that cadence of only responding to the worst case scenario, only responding when things go wrong. So our goal today is to examine real life 911 call handling failures, demonstrate the role of assistive AI, how they actually could have possibly helped these situations, and highlight the future potential of AI in emergency response. Again, these are cases that I've researched and looked up. These are actual 911 calls. They're based on publicly available information. And, I hope it's nobody's agency. Every effort has been made to ensure that this is as accurate as possible. So the first call, and it's like case studies, the first call is from 2013. $17 million settlement was awarded after a dispatcher failed to dispatch police or a fire response team following a call about a car that had slid into a pond. Although EMS was sent, the failure to dispatch a water rescue team contributed to delays. The boy who was pulled from the submerged car after 55 minutes later died from complications related to the injury. The error was that the dispatcher failed to send a water rescue team, resulting in delayed efforts to save a boy trapped in a submerged vehicle. I mean, just without even expounding, we know that that is just a terrible call. I mean, it's not so much about the settlement or about the liability as much as a child's life was lost, and it's so sad. But how could that have been prevented? So a proposed AI solution is that AI could have suggested an appropriate response team based on the nature of the call, ensuring that water rescue units were dispatched immediately. I know AI has the capacity to pull keywords. So if it would say in even submerged or water rescue or any of those things, there's the capability of AI to generate a response based off those keywords that may be said verbally or typed into a system. Also, automated call prioritization. AI could have analyzed the urgency and severity of the call and elevated it and ensured a quicker, coordinated response. This could have reduced delays and improved the chances of survival. Again, we don't want to deal in worst case scenarios, but in our industry, we do. In our industry, we this is our reality. But if there's ways we can prevent these things from happening, I believe AI is a possible solution for that. Do I have any thoughts on that call? Hello?
We can still hear you, Brandy.
Okay, awesome, awesome. Just checking. All right. So the second call, a 12-year-old boy. And this is one that wasn't in my initial research, but it's just one that has plagued me for about 10 years. A 12-year-old boy named Tamir Rice was shot and killed by the police. A 911 caller reported, a suspicious person with a gun. And in the call, the caller did mention that it may be a child, and it was probably a fake gun. But the dispatcher failed to relay this critical information, and the officer immediately escalated it with a sense of urgency, as if it was a life or death situation. And he treated the threat as if it was real. Within seconds of arriving, he fatally shot Tamir Rice. And this is a 12-year-old boy. If he was still alive, he would be 22. He probably would have graduated the year of COVID and, been virtual and remote. But instead, he's no longer with us. This is something that I believe an AI solution could have prevented. Um, AI has this powerful transcription and analysis capacity, right? And I say capacity because AI can do what you want it to do to a certain extent. So you can kind of take it to the ends of its limit, or you could do the very basic minimum. But one thing in its capacity that it can do is transcribe. So AI could have automatically flagged and highlighted this key information, possibly a fake gun or probably a juvenile, and maybe even then triggered a workflow or a response to say, hey, keep in mind this may be a child, this may be a juvenile. This may have ensured critical details that were to be immediately relayed to responding officers. So this could have saved his life. I don't know if this information was put in the call. I'm so nosy, I want to see the CAD call, but this is something that could have saved his life. It could have generated a concise and accurate summary of the call, ensuring that the officers had a clear understanding of the situation before they arrived on scene. Now, you have to err on the side of caution. It's possibly a fake gun, but we know fake guns look real, and we know real guns look fake. So the officer still has his discretion to use, but then it definitely never would have necessarily came back on the dispatcher. And we get the blame if there's a blame to be had. The third call is a domestic violence call, Christine Kirk. And I use their names, y'all, because I don't want to use the dispatcher's name who made the mistake, because we're always to blame. But I do want the victims, or the unfortunate people in these calls to be humanized. So I use their names. She called 911 reporting her husband was hallucinating and becoming violent, and details were entered into the system by the call taker, but the dispatcher did not relay the escalating threat to the officers. By the time the officers arrived 12 minutes later, she had been shot and killed by her husband. Oh, this is dark stuff, but this is the nature of our job, right? Critical details were left out and were not relayed by the dispatcher. And maybe this is the dispatcher's failure to communicate the severity. But is this something that AI could have helped? I believe it is. I believe real-time data integration, AI could have ensured that all critical updates entered by the call taker were automatically sent to responding officers. I believe the officers could have seen what the call taker was inputting. The officers could have seen what was coming in through a transcription, through real-time data integration. The officers would have been fully informed as the situation escalated, and that would have driven their response to be a little quicker or a little more cautious, or whatever the case may be. AI could have issued real-time alerts to let them know he was hallucinating or that there was a gun and prompted a possibly a more urgent response. Again, a lot of this stuff is up to the officer's discretion. We just send them out. But if there's a lack of communication between the call taker and the dispatcher, if something drops between the dispatcher and the officer, these things happen. We believe that AI is something that can mitigate some of these errors and drops of communication. So call number 4, um, 2018 in Detroit, a woman, Shania Arrington, called 911 multiple times, reporting that her boyfriend was threatening her with a gun. Despite the calls, the dispatcher failed to prioritize the situation properly, and it led to delays in police response. They misclassified it as a domestic violence call. And so the officers didn't respond with the urgency they would have typically. And she was killed before the police arrived. Again, this is another domestic violence call. We get these so frequently, so often that we do them almost on autopilot. But AI could have analyzed the description of the threat and elevated it in a way to ensure immediate police intervention. If the call was classified as a disturbance versus a domestic violence call, AI could have used natural language processing to assess her urgency and prioritize the call correctly and prevented this misclassification. So this is a thing that could have been prevented. This is the worst case scenario. We don't want our domestic calls to end up as fatalities, and it happens more often than we want it to happen. But if there's anything we can do as dispatchers, if there's any technology that can assist us in making sure nothing falls through the cracks, again, I think AI is a good solution. Call number 5, 2021, a dispatcher was suspended after they failed to properly log and escalate a 911 call reporting a home invasion, which delayed the police response. By the time officers arrived, the suspect had already killed 2 people. The delay was attributed to human error in processing the emergency call. Now, a lot of this is human error, or it maybe even be training situations or training issues or deficiencies or areas where they needed remedial training. But again, QA can assist with quality assurance and making sure that our training programs are right? AI has AI call logging and escalation abilities, and it would have escalated this call again, right? Summarize the call. And I keep saying summarize and escalate, but the benefit that it has to trainers and supervisors to make sure that we are keeping a standard of care, that we are asking the right questions, that we are classifying the calls correctly. It cannot be stated enough that, yes, we can escalate. Yes, we can summarize and prioritize, but training and quality assurance are 2 of the most important areas, because this is what stops a lot of the careless mistakes that we often get the blame for. And sometimes it's the only time we're on the news is when we make these kinds of mistakes. That was the last case that I had here, but I did see a recent one where a gentleman called 911. He was shot, and he was a Spanish speaking caller, and he was losing consciousness. And every time he lost consciousness, the call dropped, and the dispatcher would call the language line. It wasn't language line per se, it was a language line. And every time the call dropped, she would have to disconnect with the language line and with the translator and call him back. And the call just kept getting dropped. Well, at one point in this long 10-minute call, the translator, the external translator, told the dispatcher, "Hey, I think he's faking it. His story's not lining up." And she spent over 2 minutes telling the dispatcher that this Spanish speaking caller was lying. And that took 2 more minutes to this call. And by the time the officers got to him and found his location, 12 minutes had passed into this call. And at the time of publication of his story that I read and that I researched, he was having to learn to walk again. So someone lost their ability to walk and could have lost their life based off of an external translator. How does this tie into AI? AI can translate. Is actually so amazing to see. If you've never seen a demonstration, your mind will be blown. But AI has this ability to translate. So you can speak in English and the person will hear Spanish, or you can type in English and the person will see Spanish or Mandarin or Cantonese or Swahili, whatever their language is. AI has the capacity to translate and transcribe in a multitude of languages and mitigate any errors, any human errors that language line has, because Voyants and language line, God bless them, they are not trained dispatchers. They don't know the questions to ask. And they may make judgments, or they may summarize things too abrupt, too severely, and we may lose data. So assistive AI is a tool that can mitigate that issue and correct that possibility, because you just don't want to drop any call. You don't want your Spanish speakers, you don't want your other language speakers to get a reduced level of care because the interpreter doesn't know what to say, or the interpreter is projecting her own feelings about the situation. So, in conclusion, the benefits of assistive AI and call handling is improved efficiency, faster call routing, and dispatching with AI recommendations, enhanced accuracy, clear communication through AI powered transcription and real time alerts, better data integration, better quality assurance. I mean, 100% of calls can be QA'd. That is unheard of, but 100% of calls can be QA'd. Trainers can have the data they need to make sure that their trainees are responding to training, and it can mitigate risk. It can assess and prioritize calls more effectively and reduce the chances of human error in emergencies. My passion, my purpose is the wellness of dispatchers. And I believe that a part of the reason why dispatchers are not proud to say they're dispatchers, they don't stay in the seat, is because of how the world perceives us because of mistakes. And the only thing that is openly spoken about for dispatch, the only thing that is publicized on the news, of besides the occasional childbirth that we walk someone through or CPR call, the vast majority of media that comes out about us is negative and is about mistakes that we've made. So how can we reduce these mistakes? It is my belief, and just from what I'm learning about AI, that AI, assistive AI, right? Not just AI, but assistive AI, made and created for a dispatcher to improve their accuracy, to give them transcription, to give them summaries and insights of the call, to be able to cross-reference data, to be able to translate. These are things that I believe will assist the dispatcher, will help with employee retention, the stress of the job, and will also help with understaffing. You're not completely staffed, but your dispatcher has an assistant. I think these are things that can help, and we can prevent through assistive AI these worst case scenarios. So that is the entire presentation. I have some time for some questions, but that is my email address. It's b.powell@prepared911.com, b.powell@prepared911.com. And essentially, guys, my heart's desire is for dispatchers to be okay. My heart's desire is for dispatchers to be well, and for them to be able to stay in the seats, and for them to be able to be motivated and encouraged in their job. And I believe that this is a tool. Like, I didn't believe a tool existed before I came to work for Prepared. I just thought I needed to get in as many centers as I could and encourage as many dispatchers as I could. Let me come to the conferences, let me speak to them and encourage them, and let them know, guys, you can make it. Your hero. Um, but there are other tools, and it's not just wellness. There's also technology, there's also leadership and morale, and a lot of things that we can do to pour into our dispatchers to create efficient dispatchers. And I believe that AI is a great tool. Any questions?
Thanks, Brandy. I'm going to kick off the questions and just ask, what kind of vetting or testing has Prepared done on the assistive AI? Because when you talk specifically about translation, I'm thinking, wow, that's great. But how do we know that it's accurately translating? And so can you tell us a little bit about the vetting process?
Oh, yes. So they're rolling out. So it's different parts of the translation process. They are currently getting the data and the statistics to see the accuracy of it. But so far, I think a number I saw was at least 95% accuracy. I've seen people still use a language line, and then while the language line interpreter was talking to the caller, our software was transcribing and translating, and they were able to see in real time what they were saying. So statistically, I can email it to you when I can get it from our product management team, but it's definitely very, very accurate. It's more accurate than Google Translate.
That's great. Who else has some questions for Brandy?
Yes, sir.
Go
Michael?
ahead, Michael.
Hi, Brandy. Thanks for that. You mentioned QA a number of times and the potential for 100% QA. Is that something that Prepared is going to be working out toward? To my knowledge, they don't currently offer that service.
Yes, sir. It is on our project roadmap. Our product roadmap. We actually talked about it like extensively this week. It is something we're really excited about it. So it should be rolling out, and it will be in the unlimited product in the next couple of months. But when I tell you, when I first started on, I was like, hey guys, there are people who wants to be CALIA accredited. There are agencies that really care about these things, and with this AI, we have the capacity to QA 100% of calls, and it's unheard of. Usually people get 3 to 6%. So it's rolling out. It's imminent. It should be in the next couple of months. I'm sure they're probably looking for some agencies to beta test it as well, but it's coming. It's very soon. And thank you for the question, Michael. Is any other questions?
Now, I told Brandy that this group wasn't shy, so don't hold back. Brandy, can you tell us about some agencies in Colorado that might already be using Prepared or some of the assistive AI that you talked about?
Yeah, let me see if I can look that up for you right now, actually. But there, I know I'm pretty sure there is at least one or two. Give me just a second. I can right on up.
It's a Prepared user.
Summit's a Prepared user. Awesome. Do you know which product you have?
We just upgraded to unlimited.
Awesome. Okay. And how far are you guys in the implementation process?
We've been live with Base for 8 months now.
Okay.
Just started trialing and upgraded to unlimited 3-4 months ago.
Okay. So Jennifer, did you have any questions about him? He said they've upgraded to unlimited a few months ago.
This is a full flight. We do ask for everyone's cooperation. Please do not.
No, I just think that's great. If Michael has any success stories or wants to share his experience, I don't want to put you on the spot, Michael, but since you volunteered that you are a Prepared user, I'd love to hear how it's the experience that you guys have had with it and implementation.
Happy to. The team at Prepared has been fabulous, very helpful, very quick to respond. There were a few issues early on that we identified as upgrade requests or product requests that have already been implemented. We have users that have absolutely fallen in love with the system, and getting that AI summary as they're talking with somebody as a kind of mental backup, so you don't have to ask 5 times if the audio quality was a little off. And we've used the incoming translation a few times. Looking forward to using their new audio translation as well.
Yes, the audio translation just went live last week, and it is text to voice, so you can text and they'll hear in Spanish. Right now it's Spanish, and soon to be other languages. We're taking data to see what the next language to roll out will be. Also rolling out soon QA radio transcription. We're working actively on radio transcription, which is going to be amazing. So I know I'm not a salesperson, I'm a dispatcher. But it's still pretty amazing. So I'm so glad that was a great experience for you, Michael. These are some good people. There is a tenet that they believe in about being customer obsessed and being a former dispatcher. I feel it every single day. They ask for my insight, they ask for my question, my opinion, and they make sure things that they're developing are actually needed by the dispatcher, because our screens are congested enough. We log into 13, 14 systems on 4 to 6 computer screens. So they make sure that it's not just a convoluted mess. It's something that is actually beneficial. So it's a really great platform of products, I'll say. Any other questions?
That's great. Thanks for sharing, Michael.
Yes.
And then, yeah, can you just explain the relationship between Prepared and Rapid SOS, since you have a lot of Rapid SOS support on here?
Yeah.
Tell us about why.
I don't know. I'm not 100% sure. I'm not, I know we have a lot of partnerships and we have a lot of integrations. Our system works pretty well with any solution that other people have. It's an over the top solution. So it really can essentially work with anything. So we haven't had any issues with that in regards to, as far as integration and implementation with other systems, because we aren't a call handling solution per se, or radio or CAD, but we are something that assists throughout the process, the call taking to dispatch process. So we may have partnership affiliation, but I'm super new, y'all. I'm sorry.
Over there to our far right and your left. Once again, each gets allowed one camera.
No problem. And I didn't mean to put you on the spot with that. So who else has any other questions for Brandy? All right, Brandy. Well, we will put this onto our YouTube for those of us in Colorado who couldn't make it. And we really appreciate you joining us from the airport. That is some serious dedication. So thanks very much. And if you'd like, I don't know if you have a slide with your contact information that you want to put back up, or
I sure do.
I saw you had it up earlier. So
Once
that's
again, I'm
definitely in
guessing
the
those workers through the temporary lane,
definitely in the
Yes.
recording.
For sure. I will put that up for you guys right now. But yeah, again, I'm on all social media as the 911 chaplain. I can't even find it, but my email address is b.powell@prepared911.com. So the 911, you'll see me online as the 911 chaplain. Again, we're developing a program for dispatchers. That's not Prepared. That's a nonprofit that I help assemble. So just really, my heart and soul is to take care of dispatchers and make sure we're okay and we have what we need. And Prepared helps facilitate that. They are super supportive, and we work together to make sure that dispatchers have what they need. So thank you guys so much for your time.
Yeah, thank you very much for being here, and thanks everybody who was able to tune in to Lunch and Learn. And I will give you back 30 minutes of your day, everybody.
Awesome.
Have
Have
a
a good day,
wonderful
guys.
afternoon and a safe flight home, Brandy.
Thank you. Thank you so much.